Okay, cool. Um, it's 5:09, but I'm going to give a brief introduction and then we'll get started. If you don't already know me, I'm Lily. I was a policy debater at Davis High, and I'm going to be a freshman at UCSB. I really love interactions while we're doing these lectures, so I'll definitely ask questions and love to hear your opinion and how you think things should be, especially when it comes to flowing. It's very different from person to person. And flowing is generally just like the backbone of your debate, as you can see on this slide. If you don't understand flowing, you're probably not going to get your rounds or understand what's happening within them. So on that note, let's go ahead and get started. I would love to see all of your beautiful faces, especially since they're not in masks like I've been seeing every single day. It's very sad because I don't get to see everyone smiling. So if you could turn on your camera, that would really be awesome, especially since talking to a blank screen is kind of awkward. Okay, I see one more person. Do we have Theo, Rudy, Summer? Don't know if I pronounced that right. Krishna. Anyone? Okay, cool. That's fine. Oh, I see Rudy. Hani, I don't know if you have your camera on. That is all right. Okay, cool. Flowing 101. Let us get started. So just a quick overview. So if you're taking notes, you can organize it. We're going to first go over constructing a speech, and 2, what you need for flowing, 3, what is a flow, why do you need flows, how to flow. We have a couple drills to go through, and then a last few notes, and then specifically about speeches. So constructing a speech, like I was saying, flows are really important to have, no matter what type of debate you're doing. It is the backbone, and it's also how you can go and understand how things interact in the round. When you're constructing a speech, no matter what event you do, you're going to need claim, warrant, and evidence. So an LD in policy, that's in the format of cards. Your claim is going to be, most of the time is going to be for specific arguments, is going to be your tagline. Your tagline summarizes your entire card, which is a piece of evidence that you've cut from a book or an article. And then warrants is what you find within your evidence. So you might cite your warrants within your tagline for policy or LD as well, but most of the time you're going to find your warrants in your evidence. If you've never seen a card before, you highlight the parts of the article or book that you want to read. So within your evidence, you're going to need warrants. So why is essentially the answer, what a warrant is. In Congress and Parley, you have general citations of articles for evidence. You make some sort of claim within your speech, and then you have to back it up, whether it be through just general empirics, or you have found an article before the round or in the round where you have evidence as to why your claim and why your warrants are true. In public forum, I don't actually know. So sorry about that if you were interested in public forum. Unless Luca can chime in here, I've never done public forum before. Do we have Luca? I cannot hear you, but I see that you are unmuted. Oh, never mind, muted now. Okay, we're all good, that's fine. In constructive speeches, the majority of, this is for LD and policy as well as Parley, and the majority of your warrants, evidence, your claims are going to be made in your constructive speeches, and then in the rebuttals, you are extending that. When you extend, you need to extend your claim and your warrant. You need to tell the judge why when you are doing your speech. When you are constructing a speech, it is very specific to, the formatting is very specific to the type of debate you're doing. So when you're going in, I would find you should have heard this in a lot of your intro to events. But if you have more questions on the specifics of how claim warrants and evidence are presented in each format of debate, I would contact whoever did your intro, or if you just want to ask me, that is all right too. So what you need for flowing, lots of blank paper. So advanced debaters, especially when it comes to policy and LD, will use an 8.5 by 14-inch piece of paper. It's very long, and that's because the debates get very long and there are a lot of arguments. You're probably going to need some sort of pen. I personally love pens, and so I have a lot of different pens. Generally, you just want it to be very easy to use. You need to be able to write quickly. And then a bunch of no-nos. Do not use lined paper. Do not use notebook paper. Do not use pencils. Do not use unreadable pens. So if you got some neon pens happening, I suggest you not use them because your eyes will get tired. And sorry, but please do not use legal pads unless you're doing Congress and don't have a soul. Not that Congress debaters don't have souls, just that people who choose to use a legal pad probably don't have a soul. You'll understand that when you start debate or if you do policy debate. Why not lined notebook paper or legal pads? So a lot of the time when you get into higher level debates where you have a lot of arguments, what tends to happen is when you write on lined paper, you will write with the lines. And that tends to be really bad. It ruins your spacing. And if you look at, like, this is like a fake flow that I did. When you want to write small and you want to have a lot of space in between. So when you do lined paper, you really restrict yourself to how you can use the page, especially since I know a lot of LD debaters like to use their page horizontally, which means the lined paper can be even more restrictive because you either try to fit within the lines vertically, which is kind of hard, or you put letters a little too wide because of where the lines are. Additionally, if you choose to use a blue pen or a red pen, like I like to use different colors. I find that when I use lined paper, and a lot of debaters find this as well, it's kind of hard to read. Again, lined paper is one of those personal preference things, but generally when you first get started, you don't want to get in the habit of writing with the lines, especially when you have more meaty things that you need to be writing, where you want to use multiple lines. Does that make sense, Hani? Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you for that. I actually have never even touched POFO. Okay. And then on to what is a flow? This probably should have gone higher up, but that's okay. A flow is just a form of taking notes. This is how you organize your debate, and it's super simple. You just take notes like you would in class, except you try to keep things shorter, and you really have to see how they interact with each other. A lot of people say that they never understood debate until they understood how to flow, and this is super true, at least for me and a lot of people that I've talked to, because if you don't understand how arguments interact, which is what you see when you start flowing, it's hard to see how a debate works. Okay, so why is flowing important? Silence is concession. If you don't respond to an argument, you functionally concede it. It means that because you have not responded, you have said, yes, this is true. This is not how it works in real life, but it is how it works in debate, because you don't want people to be able to go back and say things that happened many speeches ago where development has already happened. This is less true for Congress because of the fact that Congress is not two teams against each other and more of just a presentation form of debate. But generally, you want to be able to answer everything, and that makes your debating much stronger. If you don't have an answer to an argument either, it's assumed to be true by the judge and the people in the round. Again, it's key to understanding debate, and usually when you have a good flow, it kind of looks like a puzzle piece, like a puzzle, and things kind of fit together because of how they interact. Okay, so how to flow. Each argument slash position has its own page. So I have a fake flow here. This is one argument. Usually it has some sort of name. It can be called a disadvantage, or it's the counterplan, or it's the econ argument, or it's whatever sheet that you have decided to put, name you have decided to name the argument. Generally, you put it at the top of your paper. People like to use the left side. I put it on the right side just because it doesn't confuse me, and I usually circle it. But a lot of people like to put it on this side so you can quickly flip through your flows. So if you had multiple, you could flip through them and see them on the top left-hand corner. Sorry, top right-hand corner, my bad. And then each speech has its own column. You can see it especially well in this piece of paper, this flow that I have on here. See how there's red and green? So the green is one side, the red is the other side. And then we have each column is a different speech. Your flow will end up looking like a grid. I personally think that this flow isn't super great, the one that I have up here. You usually want to have a lot more space in between things. You can see that they have a lot of crowding, but that's how it'll eventually end up looking towards the end of the debate. And then you want to write down the main ideas of the argument. Generally, you put down the claim, a warrant, if possible, and then the refutations to that will go on the next column. Any questions on how to flow, like the pure basics? Okay, cool. I see no questions. So a couple of general suggestions. Leave a lot of space between your arguments. The general rule of thumb, just like how you used to learn how to write in kindergarten where they had you put fingers in between each word, you're going to do that horizontally in between each argument. I usually like to do 3 to 4 fingers, but that's because I just have small fingers and in-depth debates where a lot of things get thrown around. But generally 2 to 3 fingers is enough, and that'll give you a lot of space to expand, because as you go, you start small, you expand, and then you get small again in those types of debate where you start out with a few core things, you expand, and then expand to a lot of arguments, and then at the end, each team goes for, ends up extending a lot less of their arguments. Use shorthand. Do not write in full sentences. If you are writing in full sentences, you are flowing probably the wrong way. If you use a whole sentence, you are taking up way too much space and way too much time. Generally, full sentences will slow you down, and each time you write a full sentence, you have to go back and read that full sentence. And that's not a good way to be able to reference things quickly, especially since in like Parley, you don't have prep time. In LD and policy, you only have a limited amount of prep time. So if you have to go back and read a sentence every single time, you will slow yourself down immensely. Additionally, use different symbols, arrows, whatever works for you. On this right hand, I have an example of different symbols that can be used. Very common ones are the impact one, the counterplan one, the K, the DA. That's why so many things have such random words like CP, DA, FW, K. All of these things are so that when you're flowing, you don't take time. And then try to keep things clear. Unlike your notes in class, you actually need to be able to read these notes, because if you can't read them, you probably don't know what happened in that round. And when you are flowing, at least for me, I like to use 2 different colors. That way, when things start to interact, when things get a lot more advanced, you can see that you have one team and then the other team, which makes it a whole lot less confusing. Give me 1 second. Okay. Now we have our flowing drill. I will pause to see if anyone has any questions. Most likely not. Flowing can be super simple. It's about applying it. You will need a couple pieces of paper, I would say 3, and a pen and some listening ears. Okay, so while everyone's grabbing their supplies, for those who weren't here at the beginning, we have 2 drills. The first drill is just a card drill. I have a pack of cards here, and I'm going to read off cards. And this is to practice, 1, your shorthand, 2, listening, because I'm not going to slow down. Just for reference, this is the speed I'm going to go at. Ace of clubs, king of diamonds, king of hearts, king of clubs, king of spades, queen of, etc. And so you really want to have your shorthand and as well as be able to write quickly. Just for reference on this whole quickly thing, a lot of people think that you only need to be quick in policy debate because as you get faster, as you get more advanced, you get debaters who are a lot faster, who want to speak at 300 words per minute. But in other forms of debate, you also want to be able to write down things quickly because people will move on quickly and you need to go to the next argument that they're about to make. In parley, especially, when I was doing it, I was super confused because there's no prep time. And so you need to be able to write down notes quickly while also figuring out a response to the argument that they make. In Congress, this is where they're going to make a new argument soon, so you need to be able to write down the next thing. Flowing in Congress, I'm going to pause and do a quick thing here. The way I did it, Luca, you can chime in because you've done Congress, but essentially I had 2 pieces of paper. One was labeled AF, one was labeled neg, and then for each person, I wrote down their code and then what they wrote, sorry, not what they wrote, what they said, and then if they were pro or con on whatever topic it was. It will look a lot different than your standard flow. Luca, my boy. You will come back in a second. Okay, let's get started. Is everyone ready? Do we have our listening ears on? If I stumble, it's because I can't read. Queen of clubs, king of spades, ace of clubs, ace of spades, king of clubs, king of hearts, king of diamonds. On to the next column. Ace of clubs, queen of diamonds, queen of spades, jack of hearts, jacks of clubs. On to the next column. Queen of hearts, 10 spade, 10 diamonds, 10 clubs. On to the next column. Queen of diamonds, 9 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, 10 of hearts, 9 of clubs, 7 clubs, 9 spades. How are we doing? Okay, I'm going to see how we did. What was the 3rd card on the 2nd column? Does anyone have it? You can type it into the chat if you would like. I know I stumbled there, so we will do this one more time. We are correct. It is the Queen of Spades. Okay, one last one. What was the 5th card on the 1st column? Yes, it was the King of Diamonds. Great. Let's do this one more time. I will shuffle better because we had so many of the same ones there. How do we feel? Was that too fast? What type of shorthand did y'all use? Because you definitely didn't write out the entire word spade or club. Okay, S for spades, that's great. I think everyone probably did the same shorthand. The number or the first letter if it was a king, queen, or jack, and then the first letter of the suit. Can we see symbols? You did symbols? How did that work out? Really? I cannot draw that fast. My hand would cramp. The first time I did this, I also drew symbols, and after the 5th card, I was just confused. I got lost. Okay, cool. We're gonna do 5 columns again. Is everyone ready? Cool. 8 of hearts, queen of hearts, 2 of clubs, 9 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, queen of diamonds, queen of clubs, 9 of spades, queen of spades, ace of diamonds, 7 of hearts, jack of clubs. On to the next column. 4 of hearts, 5 of clubs, jack of hearts, 9 of diamonds, king of diamonds. On to the next column. King of hearts, not 2 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, 7 of clubs, 8 of spades. 7 of spades for the next, 7 of spades, sorry. Next column, jack of spades. Is it a jack? Yeah. 9, ace of hearts, 2 of spades, 3 of diamonds, and then the final column is 5 of diamonds, 10 of spades, ace of clubs. That first column was long, wasn't it? What was the 10th card in the first column? We had an ace of diamonds before the 7 of hearts. 7 of hearts was the 11th card. If everyone else got 7 of hearts, there's a high chance that I missed a card. Did anyone else? Jack of clubs was the 12th card. Really? Wait, did I mess up? First column, 10th card. Did everyone get jack of clubs? Did I mess up? There's a total chance that I messed up, y'all. I really suck at reading. Okay, we're gonna move on. What was the last card? The very last card. Great, ace of clubs. What was the 4th column, 2nd card? Yes, ace of hearts. 3rd column, 1st card. Yes, king of hearts. We did a great job this time. Okay, good. I still suck at reading. This is a great drill to do with your friends. It's also just fun. And we have another drill. You're going to need 2 pieces of paper. So this one tested speed and shorthand. This one is going to test your interaction of arguments, because when you do a debate, you are not just going to have to list off arguments. You need to see how they interact with each other. So this is where the speech part comes in. A big part of speaking is the organization. You need to be able to let everyone else and signal everyone else in the round as to how or what you're responding to. So if I were in a round and I were just to list off 12 arguments like I did in that first column, no one would have the time to figure out what I was responding to. A lot of the times people use a they said, we said. So they said ace of hearts. We say king of hearts. We can also group things together. So we can say group the jack of clubs, 2 of diamonds, and 10 of diamonds together. We say, and then another. And this is where we run into the whole thing where you drop arguments. This is the concession, the silence is concession. If I had missed a card, if I had missed an argument in round, that would be a concession. Sometimes the concessions are small, but sometimes you can miss a whole entire argument. And that's why you need to be fast, and you need to be able to listen to what they're saying. This is especially true in policy debate. If you all end up choosing policy debate, be ready to flow. You need to understand how to flow. And I'm going to go over a few tips at the very end on how to practice flowing and practice listening without even having to really like sit down and do a drill. Okay, does everyone have their 2 pieces of paper? I have 2 flows of random objects. I was in my kitchen and I picked out a couple objects that were there and then made them arguments. So I'm going to read off these 2 flows just as you would a real speech. So they said, we said, group 1, 2, and 3 together. Is everyone ready? Okay. On the dog DA, first is cup, second is paper, third is case, fourth is flower. Onto the phone counter plan. This is where you grab a second sheet of paper. First is earbuds, second is balloons, third is beaches. Okay, great. The negative says, they say cup, we say perfume. They say paper, we say straw and cupboard. They say case, we say vinegar. Onto the phone counter plan. They say earbuds, we say headphones, fork, and plate. Onto balloons, we say pot, toaster, drums, and light. On beaches, we say umbrella and rain. Onto the affirmative. Affirmative. On the dog DA, they said perfume, we say computer, soap, and brush. They said cupboard, we say teachers and table. They said vinegar, we say Clorox. Extend flower. On the phone counter plan, they said headphones, we say coaster. They said fork, we say spoon. Group that together with plate, we also say spoon. On pot and toaster, group those together, we say pan. On drums and light, group those together again, we say migraine and Mississippi. On beaches, we say wonderful wonders. We also say toys and honey. Okay, this is the negative. On the dog disadvantage, they said computer, soap, and brush. Group those together, we say perfume, candles. Extend straws, they dropped straws. On teacher and table, to teacher, we say mug. On table, we say knife. Onto the Clorox, they say Clorox, we say pepper, salt, and pens. On the phone counter plan, we say this, they said coaster, we say tea. On pan, we say watermelon and toothbrush. On the Mississippi, we say Minnesota. On wonderful wonders, we say peaches. And on toys and honey, we say peaches and apples. Okay, this is the last speech. On the dog disadvantage, they said perfume, candles, we say soap and brush. They said knife, we say that is not a word. Tape. On pepper and salt, group those together, we say water. On pens, we say pencil. They dropped flowers. Extend flowers. On the phone counter plan, they said coaster, we extend coaster. Sorry, they said tea, we extend coasters. They dropped spoon, extend spoon. On watermelon and toothbrush, group those together. We say faithful and funniest. They dropped migraine, extend migraine. On Minnesota, we say mitt. On peaches, apples, we extend toys and honey and say tomatoes and maple. How did we do? Come on, y'all. Do I really need to ask you one by one? Okay. Krishna says okay-ish. Rudy, my pen stopped working. Yeah, nice pens. We are big fans of nice pens. Gianna says high-key floundered. Me too. I definitely still suck at reading. Valdi, Jap, Theo, Sumner, Hani, how did we do? Jason as well, how did we do? Okay, Jap says, by the way, am I saying your name right? Okay. Okay, let's test how well you did. Gianna, let me see your flow. Lift it up for me. I want to see the dog DA flow. All good, all good. It's okay. We're doing okay. Okay, nice, nice. We see some symbols. Okay, Theo, let's see the phone CP. Theo. It's all good, it's all good. I see some line paper, I see some lists. Okay, all good. See you, Vamsi. Okay, all good. I saw it, Theo. We're doing great. Okay, let's do some tests here. What was dropped on the dog DA? There are a couple right answers. The affirmative had one thing that they said that was dropped. Straws was dropped. Indeed, it was. Flowers was also dropped. Great. Okay, so unless I read something wrong, which is totally possible as seen by, my inability to read cards, we also had a drop of mugs. Mug was said by the negative in response to teacher, but no one extended it or pointed out that it was dropped. What was said in response to soap? This is on the dog DA. Perfume candles, great. Yes. And what was said in response to pepper and salt? Water, yes, water. Awesome. On to the phone counterplan. What was dropped here? Coaster, yes. Spoon, yes. Honey was also dropped, great. And migraine, yay, we got that. Snaps. Okay, and what was said in response to balloons? Oop, no, that pot and toaster was correct. Umbrella and rain was said to beaches. We have 2 more on balloons, in addition to pot and toaster. Drums, yes. Not honey. We have pot, toaster, drum. There was, Rudy, are you trying to say light, not right? Yes, okay, that was all 4, great. This is my flow, just so y'all can see. I obviously had more time than you, but I use arrows to indicate what was responded. I use kind of like a bracket to show what was grouped. So you can see a group here. You can see that this is all in response to this one. This is my dog DA flow. Flowing in real life does not look like my flow. I think I actually have some here. Maybe not. Answer that question myself. Maybe not. And honestly, shorthand is super great, but you need to be able to understand your shorthand. I have a last couple of things to keep in mind. Never give up. Missing arguments from time to time is okay. More likely than not, you can always go back. You can check with your partner if you have a partner. You can ask and cross-ex if you have cross-ex. And those things can really help you. So you can ask, like, what did you say on case? What did you say in response to Clorox? And that way you can kind of clear up what you wanted to clear up. Flowing does get easier with practice. A big part of this is being able to understand what a person is saying while you write it down. You usually will have a document, actually, if you do LD and policy, where you can kind of reference back. But if you're doing a public forum in Parley, not only will they be talking slower, but than I was at least, they are not going to have things like cross-ex. You will have to raise your hand and ask that question that they had. The question that you had as to what they responded to. For me personally, the way that I got used to understanding flowing or understanding how to flow was watching rounds. So you can go online and you can find rounds to watch. This way you can get in practice. Another thing I did to make sure that I could listen to people's talk fast is I use the 2x speed on YouTube. So YouTube allows you to speed up your videos, and that way you can kind of practice listening to people talk really fast. And at the very least, you'll be able to go into a round a little bit more prepared because you'll be so used to hearing people like talk like that. If you have a hard time listening, like you have a hearing problem, whatever, people are actually super accommodating of that. So if you need to let the judge know or let your opponent know that you have trouble hearing with some sort of disability or whatever, people are generally very accommodating of that. Yes, flowing messes. What to do when the other team doesn't flow. Debates can become really unorganized if you don't know what's happening in the round. And this is especially true if the other team isn't flowing. Can you imagine if I did this, except I was like, on the phone counter plan, let's go to balloons. We say pot and toaster. Now onto the dog disadvantage. They said Clorox, we say pepper and salt. Back to the phone counter plan. We also want to say drums on balloons. It would get really confusing. And that's why, if that's the case, get out a new piece of paper and start flowing straight down. Make notes of what things were on. Let the judge know where you're going in your own speech. It'll make you look really good. It'll make it seem like you know what you're doing. And always signpost. This is why speaking is super important and organization is really important. That first speech that I give, where I did 1, 2, 3, 4, that's super great, because then you can go on argument 1 for the dog disadvantage. We say this, and that way you save time. So you can say on 1, we say, on 2, we say, and that way you can kind of organize the round a lot better. Does anyone else have any more questions? I see Valdi raised his hand. Okay, sounds good. All good. On speech, flowing and speech organization. The reason why this is called flowing and speech organization is because flowing is integral to your debate. you really need to be able to organize your flow so you can organize your speech. As I was saying before, if you don't know what they said, it's not only concession, you also don't really know what to respond to. But if it's unorganized, you make the entire flow unorganized. The judge will be lost, you will be lost. And when you go up for your next speech, you'll be throwing around papers, whatever's happening, thinking off the top of your head. And without that flow, you don't really have that backbone. A couple great things that your flow gives you is you can give a clear, concise roadmap. So when there are rounds that are really long, you can go, judge, I'm going to go onto the phone counter plan and then the dog disadvantage, and then I will address this. And that way the judge knows, okay, I need to put my phone counter plan and then my dog disadvantage. Again, they say, we say, it allows you to give clear, concise refutations, and it saves you time to have good flows. So Rudy, you were saying that you misread light as right. And can you imagine if that happened in round where you were looking at your flow and you say, they said this, and then they didn't say that? That would also be pretty bad. That's why flowing and speaking go together. This is especially true for LD and policy. For Parley and public forum and Congress, like I was saying, you'll have a much easier time. Please do not let this scare you off. I am a policy debater. I used to have to speak at like too many words per minute. Your rounds that you'll be having at least the earlier levels where you're just understanding debate, you'll be able to have more experience, and as people start getting faster, you'll get better, and that way you will have less issues with that. Does anyone have any questions? These can be general debate questions too. If you have no questions on flowing, that's okay. It's pretty straightforward as the idea of like taking notes in a debate. It could be like, Lily, how was your day? Or, I don't really understand the difference between LD and policy. And that way we can all have a little session here. Yes. Oop. Yes, give me 1 second. By the way, like always, I put my slides on the Google Classroom when I'm done. That way y'all have access to that. I'm going to find this slide though. Give me 1 second. Share screen. This one. Okay, here is flowing messes. A couple notes on messes. If you yourself create a mess on your flow, again, grab a sheet of paper, start flowing straight down. At the end, you can go through, and at the very least, you can say, I'm going to go in the same order that they went in, and then read your responses to whatever they said. Is, like I was saying, same for the other team. If the other team is being super unorganized, flow straight down, let the judge know where you're going, let them know, I'm going to address the earbuds argument, then the balloons, then beaches, or say, on to beaches, on to headphones, etc. Oop. That's embarrassing. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. I actually have a few questions for y'all. What debates are sounding good to you? Or maybe even you liked speech better and would love to do speech. No one? Am I just not getting anything? Sorry. Oh, Gianna, are you good on the slides?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, we've got a lot of LD policy. Great. In my part, they all seem fun except Harley. You know, Parley, I did Parley as well. It's not actually as bad as it seems. Um, you just have to be able to, like, read the news and have things to, like, read when you're in round. Um, I was not very good at Parley. Uh, although, Luca, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If I didn't mess up with that one round, you know what I'm talking about. I think I would have gone 3-1. 2-2. Oh well. 50-50. Theo, what debate's sounding good to you? I have not heard from Summer all summer? Summer all lecture. Policy is scary. Parley, okay. Policy is not scary, I assure you. I am the biggest scaredy cat ever. You could show me a ant and I would scream. LD, okay. Do speech. Speech is very fun. You can do both. Do not think that you cannot do both. It is possible. I did. Cedric did like 4 events one time. This other person, I think he gave a lecture earlier. Nice, nice. Okay, by the way, we're done. So if you don't have any other questions and don't want to sit here and awkwardly chat with me, you are free to go. Luca, you can stop the recording as well.